Hi, so we're going to be looking at a strategy lesson and a guided reading lesson. Ideally, I would have different sets of students, but in this setting, it's going to be my friends, the chorizo man and his friends. So just like our workshop model, we have reading, we have the mini lesson, and then we have some small group instruction, and then we have the close. I want you to imagine that the mini lessons already happened, and the kids are now reading independently at whatever text level they're at. And in this case, because strategy lesson, what kind of material, what books will the kids be reading? At their level. I can then pull kids, like after the first 5 minutes, when kids are settled, I can pull the kids who I want to do a strategy lesson. So you don't so because every kid's doing their independent thing, I can actually pull and do a small group instructional lesson based on the needs of that group. Does that make sense? And you'll notice that it's very, very quick. It's quick, and it should not take too long because it's very directed to them, and there's not much talking to the lesson. Okay? Okay, so hi, how's it going? Good. So I'm going to thanks for coming out with me. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to share with you something that I think I've already talked to you about, just pretend. I've talked to you about in reading. And your books are pretty big right now, right? They're pretty thick. They're pretty much happening. My book is not as thick as yours, but the books on my page, the words on my page, there's not much pictures to it. And what I find is that when I read books like this, I need to remember what happens in the story, right? Because there's a lot of information happening, and that's always an issue, right? Because remember at the end of you want to make sure at the end of a story or at the end of a chapter, you figured out what's happened so far. Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. So today I'm going to show you a really quick way to figure that out. Okay? Really, really quick way. So I have a Post-it note right here. I'm just going to rip it in half. And I'm going to put the Post-it on a page, like every other couple of pages where I want to stop and ask myself what's happened so far. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. And so you can see right there, I didn't put it on every single page. I put it on 2 pages. Okay? So here I'm going to show you what I mean with this really quickly. So the Guardian. Just behind the hills lay a quiet stretch of woods. The animals lived there together in peace. They were kind to each other. Their babies played in a meadow near the river. But something was about to interfere with the gentle order of things. Soon, those quiet woods would be turned upside down. They were about to be stirred up like a swarm of angry hornets. One morning, a fox woke up very hungry. He was eager to do some mischief. He came across a rabbit working in his garden. The fox hid in the bushes and watched the rabbit make a scarecrow out of straw and mud. My, that scarecrow gives me a wonderful idea, chuckled the fox. But how am I going to get the rabbit to help me with my plan? Just then, the rabbit climbed up an old ladder. He tottered back and forth. The agile fox leapt across the garden and held the ladder. This was his chance. Thanks, friend fox, said the rabbit. What are you doing? Asked the fox. So you see my poster right there? So I'm going to stop to think to myself, what have I learned so far about this book? Well, I'll be really honest with you. I don't really remember everything, so I need to quickly go through it, right? Okay, so it looks like the story takes place in the woods. It's not taking place in the middle of Guatemala City, right? So it's not happening at CAG. That's an obvious one. There's the fox. One morning, a fox woke up very hungry. So the fox is pretty hungry, right? So he's going to do something to try to get rid of his hunger. And then, all right, he sees the rabbits. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, the rabbit's like, I'm going to build a ladder. And the fox is like, awesome idea. Okay, so the story takes place where in the forest, the fox wakes up hungry. He sees a rabbit, and he says, hey, what are you doing? I'm building a ladder. Okay, so that's what's happened so far. I'm going to keep on reading, and when I see this again, I'm going to start thinking what's happened so far. You're going to do the same thing right now, okay? So you're going to go to the page you're reading right now. Okay, so it might be the beginning of the book, you might be at the end of the book. You have to figure out where you are. Oh, awesome. So take your Post-it and rip it in half. Okay, and think about which page you're going to have to stop. Some of you might be like, you know what? There's a lot of writing. I need to stop earlier. Some of it you're like, you can stop later. So think about where you need to stop. Where are you going to stop? Put your Post-its. Where are you going to stop? Okay, good. Where are you going to stop? So maybe 1 pages, 2 pages. You need to think about that. Okay, when I come back in a minute or two, Be prepared to retell what you learned about in those couple of pages to your partner, right? So Camila and Jose Daniel, you're going to be partners. Daniel and Roberto, you're going to be partners. Okay, so I'm going to come back literally in 2 minutes. So you're expected to have done what in 2 minutes? Read and then do what? Okay, good, awesome. 2 minutes, I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, go for it. Okay, so think about what you're going to tell your partners. Practice in your head what you're going to tell them. Okay, just think. And when you're ready, just put a thumb up so I know that you're ready, that you have your ideas down in your head. Because it takes me some, I want to practice first. Okay. And when you're ready, just put your thumb up. Awesome, okay? So just really quickly, if Roberto's my partner, I might say, Roberto, I'm reading The Mud Monster. And I'm going to tell you really quickly what it's about. And I just say it. Okay? So I'm going to introduce the title and say da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da. Okay? And you're going to be like, oh, that's cool. Thanks for sharing with me. And you're going to be like, I'm reading da-da-da, da-da-da. Ready? Okay, turn and talk to people. Go.
I'm reading the grand So then they were trying to get it, and they looked in the pool, and they looked in the classroom, and then...
Okay, so you did a really great job, and one of the great things that you did was that you really did talk about it, and I can see that you were like thinking, and I even heard one conversation, you asked some questions for clarification. Right? Was that you? Was that you, Daniel? And that's a smart thing. So if you don't get something that your partner's saying, you can say, can you tell me more or explain it to me? So we're going to read a story called The Mud Monster together, right? Can you push this a little closer, Roberto? Because it seems, oh, there's a bit of a gap, isn't it? It's weird. Yeah, that's good enough. You okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it's a story called The Mud Monster. And I want you, because you're already in the 4th grade, I want you to start thinking what will happen in the story. And when we're making predictions, what do? How do we make predictions? Okay, so do what you need to always do to make predictions. Do it. So take a minute to think about what your prediction will be. And so remember, you know that when we make predictions, you say, I predict that, and you say because. So it should only take you less than 30 seconds to make your prediction. Awesome. And you have post-its. Just write it really quickly. Your prediction on the post-its. And you have 20 seconds to make your prediction and write on your post-its. So think of, for the teachers, think about why I'm asking them to write it on the post-its versus just verbalizing it. So just talk to the people around you. Why the post-its? Okay, you have 15 seconds left. Okay. Almost ready? I know it's quick. We're quick here. Okay, so put your pencils down. I know you're probably not finished writing the whole thing down, but at least you have an idea. Think about what you're going to tell your partner. So obviously we know who our partners are in this group. You can read off your post-it, but when I do this, I often read it and keep on talking a little bit more. Right? Okay, so just think about what you're going to tell your partner. Even if you haven't finished writing everything down, what are you going to explain? So if my partner this time is Camila, and Camila says, la 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 la, I say, Camila, that's a great idea. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to compliment her, because that's a smart thing to do. And then I might say, but I think my prediction is this. Okay, can you do that? Or you might say, wow, your prediction is so close to my prediction. This is my prediction. Can you try those two things? Okay, so think about what you're going to tell your partner. But of course, when we're listening to our partner, we need to really listen to what they say. have a question? No? Okay, go ahead. Turn and talk.
I think that the fox is going to be a monster that takes people away. So when the people come, the people are gonna leave the food at the road, and the fox is gonna eat it.
I agree or disagree because?
I agree
Because?
because he looks like he wants to catch
Did you listen to? Remember, I agree or disagree. What did you say? Yes, you're close to mine. What did you say? Tell her. Tell her.
Like so.
Awesome. Good. Thank you. Good. Awesome.
animal. And my suggestion is like that
Talk to him.
was trying to catch the bunny and
Thank.
like he wanted that.
It's nice when you hear thank you, right? Okay. And what do you say to him? Thank you for dancing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, awesome. All right, great. I love how the fact that you were really listening to the conversation, and some of you added to the conversation. Now, the mud monster. All right. So keep our prediction here on the corner here. Okay. So you're going to be reading the mud monster. You're going to read the first chapter. Okay. The first chapter, which is this is page 2, 3, 4, 5. My big question for you. This is my big question for you. And you have to think about this. Try to answer this question. Even though it might not give all the whole story, the chapter might not be giving you the entire answer, I want you to start thinking about this. Okay, so who can read that to me?
What is the author trying to teach us?
What is the author trying to teach you, right, as a reader?
Yeah.
Like, in other words, what is the author's message? It may not be clear right away right now, but he's starting to give you clues of like, I'm going to try to teach you something. Okay? So we have the fox, there's a fox and there's the rabbit. We talked about that earlier. What is he trying to teach us? What's the big lesson he's trying? Maybe it's not that clear yet, but there's some little clues. You know what clues are, right? What are clues?
Like fox is trying to.
What's a clue first? Let's talk about that first. How would you define clue?
In a picture.
But what is it?
A clue is maybe not exactly the whole thing, but it gives you
A little piece, right? You're like, there's a mystery. And the author, your job, as a reader, your job is to be the detective and find out what is the lesson the author is trying to teach you. Can you do that? So you're going to read the first chapter. If you're finished, what are you going to do? So she's finished, but he's not. What should you do? And just sit there? What can you do? Probably reread it again. You can check it. You can reread it again. Okay? So start reading. Go ahead. Read in your head for now. Okay. Just can you read to me? Go ahead. Good. Let's stop for a second, right? So I really liked how you read it fluently. That's important, right? Because fluency, when we read, it helps us understand the story. All right. So we talked about interfere. Can we just talk about that really quickly? What do you think interfere might mean? Okay, well, right now, obviously the picture's not going to help us, right? That's not going to help us because oftentimes, so something I often do is I kind of go, okay, that's a hard word for me. I can say it, but I can't understand it. It's important we understand it. I'm going to keep on reading maybe to the end of this paragraph and go back. Did this paragraph help me to understand what interfere means? Okay, so far we know that what kind of world are they living in? What kind of, is it?
Like in the woods.
In the woods, and how would you describe it?
Like they lived in the woods.
Yeah.
Like they found like a farm.
Good, awesome. Okay, so keep on reading, and at this point, ask yourself, do I know what interfere still means? Do I understand what it means? I'm going to come back to you in a second, okay? Okay. Can you read to me a little bit? Okay, So where are you right now? Okay, so okay, keep on going. Good. So I'm going to stop to you for a second. So I really like how all the words you read were correct, right? That's important, right? That we say the words how it's written on the page. Something else I'm thinking about here is that, see these things here? What are those things called again? Quotation marks, right? So when there's quotation marks, I know that means dialogue. They're talking. So when I'm reading it, I need to make sure that my voice changes when those things happen. So watch me as I do that really quickly. Friend rabbit, that puny scarecrow, wouldn't scare a flea, said the fox. Can you see how I changed that? So try reading again. Maybe let's try reading this part with the voice.
Friend rabbit, that funny scarecrow wouldn't scare a flea, said the fox. That's someone else.
Okay, so see, to help us understand the story a little bit more when we change our voice. Good. Okay, so can you read a little bit more? Can you read this part?
There's not a bird alive that wouldn't be frightened of that, said the fox. He put the finishing touches on his nest.
Good. I really liked how first you said he put, and you stopped for a second. You're like, okay, wait, I need to make sense, and you went back to it. So when you go back, anytime that happens, I need you to go back and make sure you're reading the whole sentence. Okay. So let's try that again. He put.
Put the finishing touches on his message.
Good. Try that one more time.
He put the finished touches on his message.
Good.
It's a monster.
Good. Look at that. What's that?
It's a monster.
Thank you. Good. Keep going. Read it again. Yep. Keep going. Read this part.
It's a monster, called the rabbit. If I didn't know it was made of meat, I'd say it was alive.
Okay.
That's why I'm hiding and from. The fox said goodbye and headed toward a wood.
Good. Good. Awesome. All right. So think about to yourself, what is the message so far? What's the author trying to teach us? Whew. So we met the fox, we met the rabbit, right? There's a bit of a story here. Try to think about what is he trying to teach us. Okay? When you think about it and just talk to the person next to you, what is he trying to teach us? Talk to them.
Maybe like how the fox like did like a trap like
I love how you said that. Thank you for sharing. That was awesome. Yes, okay. And what do you think? I agree or disagree? Because? Tell him.
it was like I think that the fox is like pretending to be the friend of the rabbit, but he's just doing it for the food.
Okay, so let's talk a larger conversation. So what is the author starting to try to tell us or teach us? Let's just start the conversation. You talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Talk to them, not to me. Can you say it a little bit louder so we can all hear? Yeah. Okay, thanks for.
Thanks for sharing. I think that the fox is pretending to be like friend of him, and it's like a trap. So then, it will be like to build like special the people away to eat the food that we have. Thanks for sharing.
It's like I'm in church. Okay. What do you think?
Fox is just pretending to be the right thing, so then he can say that.
Oh, so thanks for sharing. So what have we learned about the fox? The fox is the issue, right? What is something? What is he like? This fox. Okay, that's what he likes. But what is he like? How would you describe the inside of him? What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with her?
I disagree.
Tell her. Because?
Because
Don't tell me. Tell her. It's not my idea. Don't get angry at me. Tell her.
because he's like trying to like just use the rabbit for something.
Do you have evidence for that? Do you have support? Can you tell us where? That might be in the book.
It's when it said it and if I didn't know it was made of metal, I would say it was alive. That's what I'm counting on.
Hmm. So what do you think now?
Yeah.
Yeah? To me or to him?
I agree.
Okay. So what do we think is going to happen next on the next page, on the next chapter?
I think that he's going to like tell like everyone that monster is alive.
Who's he? There's two he's here. The box here.
And when the person, the people at the here, then his mother has been born and was running.
Yep. Okay, possibly. So you're going to continue reading chapter 2 by yourself, okay? So before you read chapter 2, I want to really compliment you on a few things that you've done really well. First of all, one huge thing is that you are really great listeners, right? I know sometimes like it's hard to listen. You're like, oh, I don't really want to listen. But I love the fact that you were listening to each other. And like, so when Camila was talking, you were all listening to her. And that's what we do, right? As readers and writers and speakers in this classroom. And I loved how you said, thanks for sharing. Right? It's nice when someone, it's nice when, I know that when I say something and you're like, thanks for telling me that. It makes me feel good that my ideas are being listened to. I also like the fact that you had the chance, Danielle, right, to say, you know what, I disagree with you. Because, and what did you do to show that you were right? You proved it, right? You proved it. And that's what readers always do. You can't just say, You have to say, because look, it's right there in the book. That's what readers always do. So just read chapter 2 by yourself, and then we'll keep on talking later on. Thanks.